Today I fucked up by assuming the CEO was pregnant.
So, I run these workshops for pregnant women, all about tips, nutrition, the works.
Today's workshop was going great,
And towards the end, a CEO showed up.
naturally, I wanted to network and maybe get some future collabs going.
We chatted for a bit, and I was super nervous. As we talked, I noticed her belly was a bit rounded, and I just assumed she was pregnant. So, trying to be all friendly and inclusive, I said, "We'd love to have you join our next workshops for your baby."
She gave me this awkward smile and replied, "Thank you, but I'm not pregnant." Cue instant regret. There was this painfully awkward silence, and I tried to change the topic, but it was too late. I walked away feeling like I'd just blown a huge chance. Too long did not read. Hosted a workshop for pregnant women, thought the visiting CEO was pregnant, invited her to future events for her baby, and she wasn't pregnant. Now I want to disappear. Yeah. It is quite a fuck-up. The follow-up is always quite important on those cases. Some real, "I'm so sorries," go a long way. Hopefully you will be able to interact with her later and restore some good faith.
Oof. You never ever assume anyone is pregnant unless they explicitly tell you or you literally are seeing it come out. You should never say anything to a woman that even remotely suggests you think she's pregnant unless you can see an actual baby emerging from her at that moment.
Dave Barry.
Guess it's too late to follow with a, "if and when the time comes."
Well, things like that can happen. You could have just said that you assumed,
since that was the title of your workshop. Or just for future reference?
I'd just pretend you said it because you assumed she was there because it was a workshop for pregnant women. Today I fucked up by trying on a water butt in garden center. Today I fucked up by trying on a water butt in garden center and getting stuck in it.
My wife and I retired a few years back, and since the arrival of grandchildren we have always had a theme for our birthday gatherings.
On this occasion it was agreed to have a family pirate-themed garden party to celebrate my wife's birthday.
My son suggested that I could create a real-life version of the pop-up pirate game. For those who don't know, the table game comprises a barrel with slots on the side.
You take turns pushing plastic swords into the slots.
Eventually the pirate in the barrel pops up. The idea was to purchase a large garden water butt and cut some slots into the side.
An adult would get in and crouch down. The grandkids would then take it in turns to push foam swords into the slots. At some point the adult would pop up with a hearty, "Arg." Great idea.
I take myself off to a local garden center to purchase the water butt.
It was midweek, so not busy.
After much searching I locate the butts.
They had various sizes. One was obviously way too small.
But I couldn't make my mind up about the medium and large sizes.
The large one looked way too big and was pricier.
However, the medium size looked tall enough, but I was concerned about the diameter.
And this is where it went wrong. I decided I would slip it over my head and see if it would work. I got it over my head no problem, but the lip was resting on my shoulders.
Rather than thinking, "No, this is too small," I chose to try again, this time raising my arms and slipping it over my arms first and then my head.
Brilliant, it worked.
The butt slipped over my body to just below my knees.
However, I now found myself stuck inside the butt. It was not wide enough for me to move my arms around to lift it off. I could only waddle around a little as I was unable to bend my legs. I could only see the circle of floor where I was standing. I started to panic. Crash! I had waddled too far and into shelving full of plastic plant pots. Rather than stand still or fall to the ground, I just kept waddling around up and down the aisle, trying desperately to grab the bottom, what is really the top, of the butt or get my hands above my head. Nothing seemed to be working.
Then I found that by jumping up and down the butt lifts off my head and there is a slight delay before it comes back down.
At first the amount it lifted was not sufficient for me to grab the bottom of the butt. So I try about half a dozen jumps before I am able to grab hold of the bottom of the butt. I then, very carefully, start to push my hands and lower arms out of the bottom. Once I get to the bend in my arms, it becomes a little easier. It is an amazingly painful squeeze over my shoulders, but at last I'm free. I look around and there is one woman in the aisle looking at me but keeping her distance. The only thing I could think of saying at that time was, "I was trying it for size." She didn't say a word and walked off. There are plant pots everywhere that I pick up and replace on the shelf. I look again at the water butt and decide that if I cut a hole in the bottom, which was the plan in any case, the pirate would not be impacted by the lip on the top, as they will only need to poke their head up. So I decided to buy it. I get to the counter to pay, and the lady who I had seen in the aisle was paying for her goods at the next counter, trying her best to ignore me. The checkout assistant looked at what I had and said that I was missing the lid and attachments. I told that it was fine, I didn't need them, as I was creating a life-size pop-up pirate. She said, "Oh. TL. Dr. I tried on a water butt in a garden center and got stuck in it."
Am I the only one who has no clue what a water butt is?
A butt is a term for a specific size of wooden cask. Americans call most of these barrels, regardless of size.
Op is trying on a rain barrel.
Fun fact. A buttload is an actual amount. It is about 126 gallons, 477 liters.
So, you got stuck inside the butt and you jumped up and down until you were all pooped out?
I know you probably weren't talking about actual butts, but I couldn't help imagining an actual plastic but you got stuck in. Today I fucked up by trying on a water butt in garden center and getting stuck in it. Till what a water butt is.
My wife and I retired a few years back, and since the arrival of grandchildren we have always had a theme for our birthday gatherings.
On this occasion it was agreed to have a family pirate-themed garden party to celebrate my wife's birthday. You sound like fun, and your grandchildren are lucky to have you as a grandfather. Waiting for your video to end up on just guys being dudes. All of this sounds awesome.
It's not every day you see a man bunny hop and striptease his way out of a butt.
She was probably pissed you were dressed under there. Today I fucked up by mistakenly laughing at a girl's dead fish. I work at a pet store, and working in retail, I have enough stories in their own. I was covering the register while the rest of my coworkers and managers were in another aisle.
A girl around my age and her mother come in, and they walk to my side of the register, and the daughter puts a bag on the counter. A snack-sized Ziploc bag, with a dead betta fish in it.
I just stare down at it, completely stunned. Like literally too stunned to speak.
The mother says, "We bought this fish a few days ago, and it already died. Are we able to return it?"
And I just look at her, so genuinely flabbergasted.
My daughter's really upset about it. The fish was only a few days old.
So I let out a huff of nervous laughter.
It was my first response, and the only thing my brain could come up with as a response was, "I'm so sorry, this isn't funny, but it kind of is."
Let me ask my manager. I didn't mean to laugh at her, it was just my response out of nerves.
It took everything in me not to laugh in this poor, mourning girl's face over a dead fish in a snack baggie.
I walked over to where my managers were and asked them, in the midst of laughter, what the policy is for dead animals. Thankfully my manager handled it from there on, because I couldn't, for the life of me, keep it together. Too long did not read.
A customer came in wanting to return a dead betta fish that was in a snack-sized Ziploc bag, and I accidentally laughed at her misfortune. Exactly what should they bring the fish in? A little clear coffin-shaped box?
It's a learning experience, Op. Figure out how to stay composed and get your shit together. I worked in aquarium stores for over 15 years. It's perfectly normal and common to bring them in a Ziploc bag. It allows you to see the fish and keeps odors contained. You're going to see this a lot, and I don't know why it's funny. Seems like a pretty common sense things to use for this purpose. I'm having trouble understanding the first sentence. I worked in a few pet stores while I was a teen and also some of college. You never laugh over someone else's misfortune. While you maybe didn't care about their beloved pet, they sure did. Grow up, Op. LMFAO. I think the idea of returning a dead fish would have gotten me too. Your choice of words was poor, but I can't deny that I would have probably laughed as well.